Hi there. So I'm here to share another chapter of the story, The Mollimi People from Deep Space, that I wrote some years ago. And chapter 5 is called The Ceremony by the Fire. Back at the settlement, it is nearly completely dark. The Mollimi people are gathering around a large bonfire in the middle of the village. All the children and adults, the young and the old. The bright flames are crackling merrily. Ahanu and Aquene go into their house while Amitola and Motega go toward the others. Filled with their own thoughts, they sit near the fire and gaze into the glowing flames without saying a word. The day's experiences and the meeting with the Intergalactic Council was overwhelming. They know that they are getting their medallions tonight. Inside their home, Ahanu and Aquene stand by the fountain and talk to each other in serious tones. Do you believe that it is safe to send them off? Aquene faces Ahanu and asks him. Ahanu gazes back into her eyes and says, "They are two brave young Mollimis. The council will watch over them, and they are going to a place where there is peace." Yes, Aquene closes her eyes for a moment and bows her head. Aquene, do you remember our own mission when we received our medallions? He takes Aquene's hands and holds them gently in his own. Yes, Ahanu, I do. Aquene looks at her husband with a look as dark as the sea. Then they lovingly rest their foreheads together and stand in silence. After a few moments, they gently release each other, and Aquene takes some seeds from her leather pouch and sprinkles them across the surface of the fountain water. First, smoke rises up, and when it disappears, they can see the image of a glowing arrow in the clear water. Instead of a sharp arrowhead at the tip of the arrow, there is a glowing red heart made of a soft substance that shines beautifully. In the center of the heart, they can vaguely see an eye. The two elderly Mollimis look at each other, and then Ahanu takes the knife from its sheath. Aquene holds her left finger over the fountain, and quite carefully Ahanu pricks a little hole in the tip of her finger. 3 drops of blood fall into the water. Then he does the same again with his own right ring finger. Again 3 drops of blood fall into the water. They stand a moment and look at the blood, which slowly dissolves and spreads through the clear water. After a few moments, it begins to fizz and bubble in the fountain, and the water changes color from red to blue, green, yellow, purple and orange. Then the water vaporizes, and now tall burning flames in all the colors of the rainbow rise up from the fountain. Ahanu and Aquene take a few steps back and remain standing there until the flames grow smaller and the fire disappears. When they are standing next to the fountain once again, it is filled with clear water, and in the water lay 6 arrows. They are 6 of the same glowing arrows with red glowing hearts at the tips instead of arrowheads. Aquene gathers them up carefully and lays them in a cloth. She holds them up so she and Ahanu can truly look at them. The red hearts are made of a soft substance, and in the middle of each they can see the outline of an eye. They look lovingly at each other and go out to see the others. Quiet falls over the gathering when the two elderly Mollimis come toward the bonfire, and everyone listens carefully when Aquene begins to speak. Tonight I want to tell you a story about a people who once lost some of the values that we hold most dear. These values are love, gratitude for life, and respect for each other. As Mollimis, we know that respect for others and respect for ourselves are two sides of the same coin. We learn this from when we are very young. The children around the bonfire sit with wide eyes and listen to the old woman. Aquene continues. These people had to work hard to survive, and therefore they did not want to share what they had. Many thought that everything that they owned they had fought for their entire lives, and therefore it was theirs. There were also many who worked hard at a job and worked with something that they were not truly happy about. And there were many differences between those who had much and those who had nearly nothing. There were even some people who lacked food. The Mollimis around the bonfire look at Aquene in puzzled disbelief as she lowers her gaze and bows her head. She is quiet for a moment before she continues. Some people owned many houses, and even though there were others who were living on the street, they did not want to share. They were afraid of losing everything that they had fought so hard for, and therefore they also forgot to be grateful. These people also forgot how one lives from the soil, and many were alone and lived with each other in very small families. The Mollimis are listening attentively to what Aquene is telling them. For many, life became a fight to survive, and the love for life disappeared. There were many places where people could not agree on who owned what, and some of those places fell into war where the people fought against each other. Now many of the Mollimis are shaking their heads, unable to understand. It is unthinkable for them that anyone could live like these people. Aquene continues. Among these people there were a very few who decided over the many, and therefore they forgot that each and every one is his or her own leader. Many of the people didn't know who the deciders were, and when something went wrong, they tried to find out who was to blame. They often blamed each other, and so many wars began. Now 6-year-old Tinka raises her hand up in the air, and Aquene smiles at her. Yes, Tinka, what do you want to ask me? What is war? The little girl's question is completely innocent, and Aquene sighs sadly before she answers. It is when people fight against each other. Bageha, Tinka, and Utisu's mother look with worry at Aquene, but those people, they don't really exist, do they? The older woman hesitates for a bit before she answers. Yes, they are found on a planet in deep space, where there is a large difference between the poor and the rich, and where there is war, and where there are a few who decide over the many. The planet is called Earth. Now there is a rush of murmurings among the Mollimis, but Aquene continues. It is important to remember that there are many who do live in peace on this planet, and that nearly everyone wishes for peace and equality. But why can they not stop the wars when most of the people don't want them? Motega's father, Xarev, is also sitting beside the fire. He has a serious expression in his eyes. We do not completely understand it, but there are many among these people who have forgotten who they are and where they come from. Also, most people are so busy managing their own lives, it becomes completely quiet around the bonfire again, and Aquene looks at Amitola and Motega before she continues. As you well know, it is a particularly special night tonight, when Motega and Amitola receive their medallions. Everyone sitting around the bonfire looks at the two young ones and nods approvingly at them. Amitola and Motega smile shyly. Ahanu continues. As you also know, we Mollimis are given a task when we get our medallions. Amitola and Motega's mission is to visit Earth. Now everyone becomes completely quiet, and a beautiful woman with the same dark eyes and long dark hair as Amitola rises. But must it be so? It is Velke, Amitola's mother. They are being sent to a place on the planet where there is peace. Ahanu looks gently at Velke and speaks in his calm voice. And we have great confidence in Amitola and Motega. Aquene smiles soothingly at Amitola's mother, who bows her head and nods. Her eyes are wet with tears, but she sits again and looks proudly at her daughter and Motega. Now Ahanu and Aquene give a sign to Motega and Amitola that they should come over to them, and the two young Mollimis rise. The oldest woman in the camp also rises. Her name is Ekoezel. She moves slowly, and in her old hands she carries a small chest with a lid. It is made of the same dark wood as the fountain, and is also decorated with a beautiful pattern. When Ekoezel stands opposite Motega and Amitola, she opens the box, and they look with awe at the two medallions, which are made of urilis, the same gemstone as they saw in the cave. They glow beautifully in all the colors of the rainbow. These medallions symbolize our most important life rules: to live together in respect, gratitude, and love. Our people have done this as long as we can remember, and therefore there is peace on our planet. Despite her great age, Ekoezel has a beautiful and clear voice. It is also this medallion which makes it possible for us to travel in time and space. Many of us have done that when we have carried out our special missions in other places in deep space. The grown Mollimis nod in agreement, and now Ekoezel takes the 2 medallions up from the wooden chest and places them carefully around Amitola and Motega's necks. Then she nods with approval at the 2 young Mollimis, who bow politely in return. It is a great moment for them. Aquene and Ahanu stand to the side and smile, and now Aquene brings forward the cloth with the 6 heart arrows. Amitola and Motega admire the beautiful arrows. Aquene explains, "The fountain has given us these arrows as a gift. You can use them if you meet anyone on earth who has forgotten who they are and where they come from." Amitola and Motega look quizzically at the heart arrows. Then they carefully take 3 each. They cautiously feel the soft arrowheads and look searchingly at the eye inside. Then they smile gratefully. "Thank you very much," they each say. "You are welcome," answers Aquene. Ahanu and Aquene lovingly embrace the 2 youths, and now the other Mollimis gather around them to congratulate them. There are Motega's father and mother, and his little sister. There are Amitola's father and mother, and her little brother. There is Bageha and her husband, and their children Tinka and Utisu, and there are also the other Mollimis, who are 8 families in all. Now Aquene claps her hands and says that the party must begin. It is a tradition among the Mollimis to hold a party for the 2 young ones when they receive their medallions, and everyone has brought delicious foods which they set on a large table. Everyone fills a dish and gathers around the fire, where they eat and relax and talk together. Afterwards, some of the Mollimis get out their instruments and begin to play. There are flutes, drums, rattles, and string instruments. Beautiful ringing melodies stream from the instruments, and some sing while others dance. Amitola and Motega dance and play with the little ones. They all continue like that until late into the night, when the children become so tired that they fall asleep in someone's lap. Soon everyone goes their separate ways. Ahanu and Aquene also retire, but before they go to bed, they agree with Amitola and Motega that they will meet at Ahanu and Aquene's house at sunrise the next morning. When everyone has gone, the 2 young Mollimis sit a while alone by the fire and talk. So much has happened this day, and they are both excited about what awaits them on their journey to Earth.